Hey friends, welcome to Woman Owned Wallet, the podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Dare, a serial entrepreneur who has already made all of the money mistakes, so you don't have to. Now I'm working on my money mindset, expanding my companies, and having open conversations with women around a subject that shouldn't be so taboo: money. My company, Woman Owned Wallet, and I are determined to help you foster a more positive relationship with your wallet and help you create a life that makes you say, wow. Hello, friends. Amanda here. Welcome back to yet another episode of Woman Owned Wallet, the podcast. I'm so excited again. I feel like I say that every time, but it's fucking true. I'm excited every time we start a podcast episode. And this one is something that is really near and dear to my heart. Today, we're going to be talking about the fear of success with our favorite money mindset coach, Melissa. Melissa, thanks so much for coming back on the podcast once again.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation. I think that this is something that so many people deal with it and they may not even know. So I'm ready to dive on in.
Absolutely. I feel like I am really knee deep in this fear of success right now. And it's something that, we've talked about in a lot of my coaching sessions with you of like, I have all these new projects going on. You guys might have heard little inklings of them throughout the podcast if you've been listening, and even more might be coming out. So we'll see what you guys get to learn on this versus seeing it come to life. So we're working on a new store for Woman Owned Wallet. We've got a second storefront that is just currently in development. And then we also have a amazing app. We're like connecting through Mighty Networks app to create our own network of the Woman Owned Wallet, the WOW directory and classified so that we can have more women working for more women owned businesses and putting money into each other's wallets. It's going to be so incredibly amazing. But I feel like most of the time you guys are like, fear of success, that seems so weird. Like that doesn't seem right. That seems like, shouldn't we be scared of failing versus being scared to succeed? Like it's even a little bit hard to believe that it's true. So the fear of success, like it just doesn't seem like it should be a thing. But for me, it really is. With all these new projects, I keep leveling up, basically just keep competing against myself to put more money into wallets of women. And it gets a little scary. But first, I want Melissa to talk a little bit about fear of failure and like kind of talk about like, we have to get over that first. Like, don't we, Melissa?
Yeah, absolutely. When we were talking before we started recording and you were saying that, you're really knee deep in this fear of success right now, I realized that you have to get over the fear of failure first. So many people understand the fear of failure. They know that they have a fear of failure. So that's something that a lot of people recognize. But what they don't recognize so much is that they have that fear of success. So in order to get to focusing on the fear of success, you have to first overcome the fear of failure. Once you're willing to fail in order to reach your goals, then you start to realize, man, now that I've overcome this fear of failure and I'm actually doing things, now I have this chance to actually be succeeding. And that's when the fear of success starts to come around. So that's where you've been at. You've been working for so long. You've been putting yourself out there in so many ways over the years. You've completely come to terms with the fact that you have to be willing to fail. And you go out and do that. But now there's all these things that have become available to you. Now you have to learn how to deal with the fear of success. So tell us, how has it been for you in this new experience, dealing with continuing to move further and further down the path that you want for yourself?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to kind of identify my behaviors that have led me to, like, it was more confusion more than fear of success in the beginning. Like, I always say, like, if you're the only thing standing in your way, move out of your own way. I tell that to myself, and it's like, it feels like a very simple way to talk about it. But it's definitely one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with because I'm my own competitor. I compete against myself. I don't see others as competitors or competition. And I love to just collab with everybody else. But I have to remember that, like, it's okay for me to move myself in my thoughts or feelings or stresses. And even though I'm scared to move forward in these ways, even though I'm scared to level up because every time I level up, then I have this new pressure that's added to my life. And like, am I really willing to bring on all of that pressure again and again and again and really get myself to these like crazy high new levels that are scary because they just include so much more. There's so much more risk. And I know that there's so much more reward. And I've never felt more solid in my concept and my ideas and my path. But the pressure I put upon myself is terrifying. Like it scares me. And it really is this idea of being scared to succeed because it is that new level. And then how am I going to one up myself again after that? And you said a phrase that literally made me so happy. Like, I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but I'm obsessed.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people think that once you are successful, quote unquote successful, that you don't deal with that fear of success anymore. But the saying is new levels, new devils. Every time you up level in your life, in your career, in whatever aspect you're looking at, there's new pressures, there's new expectations. So it doesn't really matter what level you're at. There's always going to be rungs above you that you can look up to. Definitely, you have to decide what rung you're aiming for. Don't focus on anybody else's ladder. And you're just going to climb that ladder. Every new step is going to have a new difficulty, but it's also going to have a new payoff.
I love that. And I feel like in a lot of previous interviews, I've always said, I just love that you said ladder and like steps up, because every time I think of like my journey, I always think of it as a staircase, and a ladder definitely makes a lot of sense with this analogy. But I think of it as like every time I've taken a step, I get a better view. So every time I've made that next step, even if it felt like at the time it wasn't the right step to take, or I was unsure or whatever, either way, I have a better view, or really, when I equate that to is a better understanding of myself and a better understanding of the path that I want to take, even if it's something that turned out to be something I didn't enjoy or didn't want to do. Like, I learned from it. And I think that's why I'm not scared of this failure, like you said. But I think it's really interesting because even if you're listening and you're like, I don't know, I'm pretty content in where I'm at right now. Like everything's feeling good. Like, girl, I feel the same. Trust me. But I've noticed a few things that I've had to bring up in like these coaching sessions that are like, okay, why am I, for example, procrastinating? I've been procrastinating a couple things. And I think it all comes back down to, well, if I actually finish it, and it's actually done, then I actually have to, put it out in the world. And that's a very scary thing. It's scary to put out new stuff, but I really know that it's going to succeed in my heart, in my soul, in my mind. Like it all is connecting. So that means like, if I actually stop procrastinating and do the things that I need to do in order to finish this new app, in order to finish these new educational courses, because you guys have been asking us so many questions, how to get started, how to work through money mistakes to avoid in your business and personal life, how to be more profitable, how to really break down your budget. And we want to give you what you're asking for. But at the same time, it's like, once it's finally done, once I finally finish up that last video and it's out there for you guys, I know it's going to succeed. I feel so great about it. But again, then I have to level up. So I've been procrastinating. So if you see that you're procrastinating in your own life, maybe consider the fact that you might be fearing that success that comes with finishing that next big project as well.
Yeah, because just by the fact, if you think I'm procrastinating, that's something negative. And if you're thinking that you're doing something negative, you need to figure out why. So definitely, if you self-identify with procrastination, this could absolutely be what is holding you back.
I completely agree. And I was dealing with that myself, you guys. No matter how big or small you think my business is, successful or failure you think my business is, I've been feeling that procrastination, and it's so real for me. So I feel it with you. Don't worry, you are not alone. The other thing that I was thinking about is extremely ambitious people. And we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to bring it up, is that extremely ambitious people can be very uncomfortable with the attention they receive when they're succeeding. So maybe if it's hard for you to take a compliment, if it's hard for you to celebrate a success, if it's hard for you to communicate your successes to those around you, that's a potential indicator that you might have this fear of success, just like I do. And it was kind of interesting, like Melissa was talking about, who are those people around you and are they celebrating with you? And I love what you were saying about that before. So let's share a little bit of that with them too. Like, who should we be surrounding ourselves with when we are having this fear of success?
Yeah, it's always super helpful if you have people around you that understand what you're going through. And if you are trying to level up in your life, chances are there's some people in your life that are going to be not so supportive of that. And it might not be anything to do with you. It might be totally about them. It's not really important where that's coming from. What does matter is making sure that you find some people that you can relate with on this topic. So surround yourself with people that you think are being successful. Look at your friends. Who do you have in your life that you think is just knocking it out of the park? And try to spend more time with them. To be honest, you have been a huge impact on me in this way because you are out there like making all of your dreams come true. So when I get the honor to watch you do that week in and week out, like that lets me know that I can do it too. It gives me that belief. It gives me that support. So find people that you respect that are being successful and spend some time with them.
Oh, well, you're the sweetest thing. And I mean, we literally have such a mutual love and respect for one another. I feel exactly the same way. And I feel like one of my strengths is definitely my extreme vulnerability and my total acceptance that I'm an anxious person and that I am like these parts of me are definitely things that can be really scary to share. But after working with you for so long and like understanding that I can really communicate a lot of these things that I'm dealing with and still be quote unquote successful in my version of that through those communications, like then we knew we had to start this podcast and we had to get these exciting things out there so that other people didn't feel like they were going through these situations alone. And I completely agree with what you said, because until I started to surround myself with other entrepreneurs, I didn't have the understanding of what was like normalized within the entrepreneur community around money. So after I started to be very open and vulnerable myself, I started to receive that back from people. And after I started to understand that, yeah, maybe it's possible that like my friends who don't own businesses or my family who haven't been entrepreneurs wouldn't quite understand how excited I am about like weird little things. I've talked about this, I believe, multiple times, but this year's the first time I've been able to offer health insurance to my longest employee, Adrian. And it is one of the goals that I've been trying to accomplish for years and years. And it's finally made itself an option for me. Like I can not only afford it, and it's fucking expensive, but not only can I finally afford it, I know the value of it. I know what that means to the depth of our relationship and the depth of, worth that she can also feel and how much I appreciate her. It's like one of those beautiful ways that I can support her in that way and basically take away the worry of that from her wallet, really, and put it into mine instead. But there's things that like, once I've told that to a couple entrepreneurs, they had the understanding of how difficult that really is as a small business to be able to like actually implement. So it's stuff like that maybe it's not even like, that's my version of success. That's not going to maybe equal what your version of success is, but I've been working towards this moment. And once I shared it with all my entrepreneur friends, they had the understanding of how difficult it was. And they made me feel so amazing for accomplishing that level of success for myself. And it really validated that I was like surrounding myself by the right kinds of people because they understood the nuances of my version of success.
And it doesn't have to be entrepreneur, right? I know we do talk quite a bit entrepreneur heavy around here, but whatever it is that you want your life to be, go find people that are living that life and surround yourself by them. Find people within your industry. find people who, I don't know, maybe you like surfboarding, go find some people that have figured out how they can surfboard 5 days a week and go hang out around them because that's what you want to do, right? It doesn't have to be entrepreneur specific. There are people out there in the world that are doing what you want to do. So just go find them and see if you can spend time with them.
I completely agree. I mean, my adventure of being an entrepreneur is definitely specific to me, and I love to surround myself with those people. But you're totally right. And I'm like really interested in like rollerblading and skating. And I like watch all these videos on TikTok about that. And it comes across my like For You page all the time. And it's one of those things of like those communities in whatever topic that you're, looking for that success exist. And it's never been easier to find or to connect with, all of the resources that we have available today. I want to move towards how to overcome this fear of success now that you kind of understand it a little bit better and you can, we already talked a little bit about it. So finding those people to celebrate with is an incredibly important step to move towards. And then I think just celebrating each time there is that little success. So if you don't have that community set up yet, I don't want you to not celebrate your own successes in your own way and be waiting for those people. Celebrating solo is just as important and I think just as exciting as celebrating with other people, because then you enter into those relationships with that new network of people and you're confident in yourself. You're like, I've done this a couple times. I feel good about this. I can do this move or that move if you're on a surfboard or skating. Or like, I don't know. I think Kat was talking about it on her interview about like, she feels so comfortable that she now doesn't have to like wait till the last minute to pay her employees. She does it like before a holiday comes up, like she's ahead of the game. So even that little stuff, like if you can celebrate those things by yourself, entering those communities will be just that much easier. And you'll have some things to share that they will understand. And I really like that part.
And most people that are successful, they want to help other people do what they've done. They want to give you hope that you can do it too. So don't be afraid to reach out because you think, well, they're so far ahead on this journey. They're not going to be interested in me all the way back here. Most successful people, I would say that is not a true statement.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that saying from Brene Brown? That's like, if you haven't been in the arena, I can't remember how it finishes exactly, but it's like, I don't want to hear your like criticisms basically. So like the people in those networks will have been through a lot of similar experiences and they might be struggling with something that you've already succeeded in. So what a beautiful way to like kind of curb that fear of success for yourself by sharing that with someone else and helping someone else succeed in that beautiful way too. I think that that's so cool. But like getting in the arena, and usually other people in the same arena are not going to have critiques the way that people outside of the arena are, just because the mutual understanding is really there. And really the mutual respect comes with the understanding of one another too. So next up, I think it's important to have repetitive small successes so that you can lead to having more confidence. And we've kind of talked about that a little bit, but those little moments that you get to celebrate lead to the larger moments, the bigger goals that you had, the bigger successful moments, however you're defining that, to be even sweeter, even bigger, even better. And you're going to feel more comfortable celebrating those successes if you've celebrated the small ones first. Does that make sense, Melissa?
Absolutely. And to be honest, I think a lot of people struggle with celebrating their own successes. And like, as soon as they hit that goal, it's like, yay, I did it. I'm on to the next. And I think that it's just another way to build a muscle. If you want to be able to enjoy your success, then you need to do it when it's small so that when the big stuff comes around, you already know how to do it. And a big part of it is recognizing your own thoughts about things. If you don't take the time to sit and question it, if you don't wonder, why do I feel this way? What do I think that these things mean about me when I have these thoughts? You have to take the time to actually dig into yourself. You have to ask the questions, and you can't accept I don't know as an answer. That was something that I spent a lot of time indulging in, like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. But I've stopped letting myself say, I don't know. And I just say, if you had to pick, what would the choice be? It might not be right. I'm not saying I have to pick the right thing, but if you had to make a choice, what would you pick? And then you move forward with that. Because if you don't think about these things, you're never going to uncover the reasons. You're never going to be able to overcome the fear because you won't understand it.
I feel like every word that Melissa says is just pure gold. Pure fucking gold. That's what it is. It's beautiful. I love the way you said that. I love how, you have to be able to, it's just a further understanding of yourself. It's like the ladder we talked about in the beginning, taking each one of those little moments and climbing up the ladder of success that you get to define yourself in every single situation. And maybe one last kind of closing thing is that if you're struggling with the fear of success in one area, but you've been really successful in another area, like for me, so I have had multiple successes, small and large, within my entrepreneurship journey. But I am really excited to learn how to rollerblade and skate better. I can rollerblade, but my skating is not up to par yet for sure. And I feel like every time I feel not confident in one area, or I'm scared, okay, well, if I actually get good at skating, does that mean I need to be doing it? It means something about myself. I have to be doing it all the time, or do I really have time for that, or get nervous? But then I keep going back to how many times I have succeeded in other areas of my life, and how many times I've failed in other areas of my life. And no matter what, I go back to thinking, I'm confident in myself because I have these little wins and big wins along the way. So I can enter any new situation, not being scared to fail or succeed, because I define failure and I define success as well. And I feel like it's easier to enter those new areas and be more confident within my entire life when I get to celebrate them individually before that.
Right. And even just when you're talking, saying failure and success, failure is negative. Success is positive, but really they're just two halves of the same thing. You can't have one without the other. It's not really about good and bad. It just is. So if you can continue to let go of that idea that failure is bad, success is good, that'll help you overcome the fear of both, because too much of a good thing and too much of a bad thing is scary no matter what. So if you can just work on, if the only thing that you can do starting today is work on recognizing that success and failure go hand in hand, they live together in the same house, then that's going to be the great step on your journey to overcoming the fear of success.
Absolutely. And I think this is a perfect place to wrap it up, because not only do you guys now get to really sit with your own thoughts around fear of success or failure, you get to define those things for yourself. There's so much from this episode that I am personally dealing with, and that I feel so free just by talking about it more. I just feel like that little bit of weight lifted off of my shoulders, because I know that I'm not alone. Y'all are here with me, and I appreciate y'all for that, for listening and for engaging in a conversation that can, really help us just move through the world without as much pressure as we might have put on ourselves before. So thank you so much, Melissa. Yet again, can you please tell us how we can connect with you, how they can hire you? Because, we are trying to put more money in the wallets of women, and Melissa has helped me 1,000 times over. So I hope you guys get to connect with her.
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's melissablandfordcoaching.com. The same at Facebook, and over on Instagram, it's The Real MB Coaching.
The Real MB. I like it. It's almost like MVP, So thank you guys again so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
If you want to put more money into the wallets of women like we do, then check out our website, thewomanownedwallet.com. And we can't wait to continue the conversation on our social media. So definitely follow us on our Instagram @womanowned.wallet and on TikTok @womanownedwallet. You can support us by following our podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify. And don't forget to leave us a review. Thank you for listening to Woman Owned Wallet, the podcast.